This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
The wrestling podcast that sets all other podcasts apart. Covering news from the world of WWE, AEW, TNA, and more. Your favorite weekly episodic podcast, Ramblers Unleashed, starts now.
I almost forgot about that one. That one threw me off. I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that one in a long time. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Ramblers Unleashed, a brand new time for us, Tuesday Night Delight, and we're happy to be here, man. We have a lot to talk about. Baron is, Baron is on assignment tonight. He's currently, we reached out to him. Okay, guys, we reached out to him, and he said, look, man, I'm just too far up on Cloud 9 to come down tonight. Next week, he'll be back on the show. New time, Tuesday nights around 9:30, right after, TNI usually goes live on Thursdays, but you guys were just on tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bill from TNI, who's on our show tonight as our very special guest. Bill, thank you so much. Golfers clap, gentlemen.
Thank you to the Ramblers. Glad to be here on the new time slot, and thanks for letting us be the lead-in tonight and taking the Bone Man away for a little bit to get a little turning point covered from this past holiday weekend. But great to see you guys over here and join you for this night, a little double shot. Hopefully, they're not all tired of me and J-Bone by now.
No, I don't think so. I think you guys are loyal. The cool thing about TNI, man, is you guys have a loyal fan base, and a lot of people I've been watching, man. A lot of people have been jumping over from TNI over here, so we appreciate you jumping on. And Bill, thanks for pulling a double shot for us tonight, buddy.
I just got something to say real quick. I can tell by looking and listening to the voice that that's Bill right there above me. But if I look at the names on the screen, I'm confused because over here, his name says his name is Bill. What's going on?
Hey, J-Bone, that was the test. Remember I told you? That is the test. So you got to manually change it on login. That's because I never logged out. You did.
But I'm Bill.
Are you, J-Bone?
Are you not one but twice?
Are you having an identity crisis, Bill? J-Bone?
I obviously took way too much Dayquil and NyQuil over the last 5 days.
I think some of that.
Fine. I'm not going to make him change it. So this is what we're going to do. This is Bill, and this is Willie. All right.
I'm Little Willie.
Slick Willie down here.
Little Willie Bone.
Little Willie Bone.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, Bill,
the proper name is William Boneski.
Boneski. Okay, William Boneski.
I have no idea.
Got it. Well, Bill, welcome to the show tonight, brother. We're going to get into some rambling. Next up, the neighborhood heel, a man with more wrestling knowledge in his pinky finger than Tony Khan could even imagine with his toy figures, and the only guy that I know that pops bigger for Joel Gertner than any of us. You can address him as Mr. Magus. We call him the mighty Maximus Magus. Golfers clap. Max, how are you, sir?
You know, I am so happy to be here. I know this is not our normal time. Viewers, I am sorry, but this is better for us as a whole, and we'll see how much better. I got to say, though, it's a little weird. We haven't seen Baron around much, and tonight we've got someone filling in for him. I just got to ask this question. Where did you get that sweet jacket, Bill?
Oh, this is one of a handful of Moose specials from the X Division champion himself. So this was one of his vests, which I've then continued to wear at TNA over the last handful of years. So try to mix it up a little bit. But this is more of his pay-per-view or now premium live events vest. So it's one of my more favored ones. Has the big belt on the back, and for Moose, obviously has his different Syracuse to the Falcons, down to the Patriots, the the Rams,
the Rams.
the
Yeah.
Colts all the way at the bottom.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
amazing.
History.
I was going to ask about it in the comments section over on TNI, but then we decided you were going to join us. I figured, you know what? I'll just ask on our show.
There you go.
Why not?
Now, there is something I need to explain to Dizzy real quick. Listen, we were over there in the comments, and I said something about, Mir said that Bill's not getting paid for both shows, just TNI.
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's not completely true. Bill's getting a hot dog and a handshake, and you're like, I think we can do better than that. Listen, Dizzy, hot dog and a handshake is an indie joke for what indie wrestlers get paid for their work.
Yeah, I know, but still, there's. I mean, it's come on, man. We got to do something better than a hot dog. I mean, we can still do the handshake, but come on, bro. Come on, man.
Listen, all you pay J-Bone is a handshake. We're already doing better than what you pay J-Bone.
We give him a hot dog. He gets a hot dog at the end of the show, okay?
Well, Dizzy and I go way back, and it's a little better than a hot dog and a handshake, but we won't get into that on there.
Don't you be
Well,
telling
now.
secrets, J-Bone. Those are our secrets, okay?
Hi, welcome to Ramblers. Enjoy your stay.
Well, let's introduce the producer of the show, the man, the myth, the absolute legend. For without his tech wizardry and the gizmos that he brings to the show, plus his vast wrestling knowledge, and of course, Mrs. J-Bone, who is so kind to gift us this time for the show. Yes, golfers clap for Mrs. J-Bone. For without her, we wouldn't have him, and we wouldn't be here today. He is the host of Smash His Podcast and Total Nonstop Impact with the latest TNA reviews and news on a YouTube over any other podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the great and infamous wrestling prospect, J-Bone Golfers Clap.
Oh, you had to mention the prospect. I am the wrestling prospect. You're damn Skippy. You're damn Skippy. I am that hippie.
There's wrestling afoot. Where to go? J-Bone, how are you, buddy?
I'm about 24 hours out of another flu.
Oh God.
Gosh darn it. So yeah, I was a little under the weather, if you will. I had 10 layers on trying to sweat it out of me over the course of Thanksgiving, but I did see my kids and that was wonderful. But I could, it was like we were on opposite sides of the room. So it's like,
Yeah. It wasn't COVID or anything, was it?
No, man, it was just a bad cold, So I was ODing on Dayquil and NyQuil and NyQuil and Dayquil, and sometimes I'd take stuff during the day that I wasn't supposed to, and stuff at night that really didn't help a damn. It's I had like 3 bottles going at once, and it was crazy. So I finished them all off though, and I'm doing better.
Yeah, well, that's good, man. I was battling something for about a week or like a week and a half. It was something fierce, man. It would just not let me go. But I'm glad everybody is here in good health and good spirits because, boy, we have a lot to talk about. Max, what's up?
Yes, but we have one more thing to cover before you get into what we have to talk about. And every time we do this, you try to get out of this, but I can't let you do that. But before I get to that, I think we should make a new rule. J-Bone should be under the influence of something every time we do an episode. When he's on Dayquil or NyQuil, when he's on his edible, whatever it is, the man is entertaining on it, and he should be on it every single time. Now, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you have been introduced to the Ramblers that are on tonight's show. You have been introduced to the honorary Rambler who joined us from TNI. But the man who needs the introduction because he refuses to do it for himself, the man whose face even his mother was like, dude, what the hell happened to you? The man that puts all the stories together, our fearless leader, Dizzy.
Golfers clap. Thank you, Max. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man.
Please tell your mother I apologize for dragging you into this every single time.
Yeah, you better apologize to my
Beautiful.
mom.
It's just beautiful.
Blame the doctor for dropping me.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, repeatedly.
Repeatedly.
What the hell is this thing?
My God, this kid is slippery. I just can't keep a grip on him.
Oops, Butterfingers. Oh my God.
This is the only proper response here.
Yes,
If the doc's got Butterfingers.
Right, exactly. Thanks, Courtney. Appreciate you. I love you too.
Not sure what that's in reference to, but we're just gonna slip it in here where we're talking about dropping Dizzy on his head.
Maybe that's the whole filling in the blanks thing that we have to figure out. I don't know.
There we go.
Well, I believe the filling in the blanks is from our resident TNA historian, but he's very young, Critical Sting, who when you need some trivia answers, Critical Sting he'll come out of nowhere and just give you that right answer.
He does. We love him for that. I think he's. I don't know how old he is. I think that he's in one of those.
Well, we got Critical Sting on the show. You got to go way back there to find it. But
that's right.
Like we're a bunch of old heads to Critical Sting.
he was like 12 or something, right? Or something. I don't know.
I don't think he's that young. But
Critical Sting, I don't know if you'll need to fill in the blanks, but be on standby because sometimes I forget shit. Okay, I'm just saying. Sometimes. Yeah, okay. Fuck you. All right, let's get into some wrestling news. Of course, we're coming out of one of the biggest pay-per-views for PLEs now that they're calling
weekends.
Weekends, yeah. I mean,
it was a loaded weekend.
You had Survivor Series, WarGames, you had TNA, and man, I'm just telling you, it was a loaded Thanksgiving weekend for wrestling. If you were a wrestling fan, you were in hog heaven, man. But some of the results for WarGames, Survivor Series WarGames, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley defeated the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae by pinfall. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated LA Knight for the U.S. Championship, which surprised the hell out of me. And I am so happy. I love this new version of Shinsuke Nakamura that we are getting on WWE, man. I love the dark Shinsuke. I loved Shinsuke when he debuted. I love that, but I just love this one just a whole lot more, man.
I gotta ask you guys, and I know this is going a bit off the rails, but I'm bringing it back around, so just bear with me.
Sure.
Have you guys ever watched? And I believe it's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge, Walking Dead zombie. I'll watch anything zombie with the exception of like rom-com zombie. That's just straight bullshit. I wipe my ass with it.
Aim for the head.
Yeah, right. Double tap. Have you guys ever watched? It's an international series called The Kingdom, and it's about ancient samurais and Oriental villages battling zombie plague. It's real. It's well done. The story is incredible. And it's not too hard to follow, even though it's like something, so far off our culture. Have you guys ever watched it?
I have never seen it. I don't think I've ever even heard of it, honestly.
Okay. I highly recommend it. And it was the first thing I thought of when I saw this new version of Shinsuke Nakamura. I was like, oh my God, he looks like something that wandered straight from the set of The Kingdom. He looks like some undead samurai, especially the entrance he had at this pay-per-view. It was incredible. He had the helmet and he has this like dead look, with the, half rotten face and the makeup and whatever he was doing and the straggly hair, he used to have such a, for lack of better words, I don't use this word often, but he always had such a clean cut, pristine look. His hair was on point. His outfits were always clean, spotless. Now he looks like he got like buried and brought back from the dead. And it's like, holy shit. I love it though. I'm a big fan. So I just had to make that comparison. Had to ask you guys if you're familiar with that show, but I highly recommend it if you are a fan of the zombie genre.
I'm digging this whole Shinsuke Nakamura gimmick, man. I love what they've done with Shinsuke. We had Bron Breakker defeat Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser and to keep his Intercontinental Championship. Gunther, who is getting some really high praise in WWE. We're going to talk about him when we hit some WWE news. Defeated Damian Priest by technical submission. And, of course, Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk defeated the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed by pinfall in the men's WarGames match. It was a hell of a Survivor Series, man. Really, really good. And it's sad that I missed the TNA PLE. I really wanted to see it. I wasn't sure when it was on, but how was that PLE?
Well, if you did happen to just listen to Bill and I talk about it, it was awesome.
I heard it was a really good PLE. Of course, I heard that from J-Bone and Bill, but I also heard that there was a bro at the show.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about bro.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We're not gonna go over like a full review like Bill and I just did, but we are gonna talk about some news bits, and I'm not sure what Dizzy all had lined up for the show, but we absolutely have to talk about the surprise of Matt Riddle at Turning Point, because I want to get Max's opinion along with Dizzy's opinion. First of all, him showing up, and you can see like highlights online. You don't have to see the full match, but you can see highlights and you can listen to the crowd reaction. So I got a twofold question for you guys.
Okay. Let's hit some TNA news real quick. Let's talk about Matt Riddle turning up on Turning Point on November 29th. It was already a big night for the company, but Matt Riddle's surprise debut took things to a whole nother level. According to sources, Riddle wasn't initially part of the plan, but he stepped in at the last minute due to unforeseen circumstances. Here's what happened. All right. The shakeup happened after Trey Miguel originally set the team with Zachary Wentz and Kushida in a 6-man tag match, had travel issues that prevented him from appearing. And TNA sources revealed that they got word of Miguel's situation earlier that day. So the scrambling for a replacement, Matt Riddle was brought in just hours before the show. Matt Riddle, of course, he'd been released by WWE in 2023. He seized the opportunity to join TNA World Tag Champs, the Hardys, and ABC's Ace Austin in a match against Wentz and Kushida and their makeshift team. His return to pro wrestling drew a very, very strong live reaction, as J-Bone just said, a fact that TNA officials were very, very happy about. However, insiders noted that while the situation wasn't quite ideal, the team wasn't overly stressed considering they were at a convention filled with potential replacements. So it's you know what, J-Bone, I'm gonna leave this with you because I know you have some insights on this.
I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't watch it live. I watched this, so this would have been okay. So this actually was the night that I had my kids over, so I couldn't watch this live. I stayed off my phone, and I knew it was only going to be about 3-ish hours. I could fast forward it a little bit if I had to, here and there. So I watched this after my kids left. So it wasn't too late. It was late enough, but it wasn't too late. Because my kids had to work the next day and they had holiday plans or whatever. So I stayed away from spoilers. Exactly, Rocky. Yes. stay away from spoilers. Darn spoilers. Yes. See, Rocky agrees. Yeah. So when he came out, first of all, the fact that Trey Miguel wasn't there, and it was like, oh, so what's up with him? So that was like a big question mark. Like, hopefully he's okay. Okay, it was a travel thing. Okay, that's good. But then when like Bill and I said, our first thought is someone like Myron Reed that's affiliated with the Treehouse, the Rascals, whatever, that'd have been like an easy shoe in because he's been on there a handful of times, give or take, whatever, on TNA coming over from the indie scene. And I think it's just a matter of time before he becomes a full-fledged member, honestly, because he's that damn good. He is the young goat. He just needs a new get-up, in my opinion. The vest. It's Dork thinks he's gonna drown. Someone give him a new get up. But when Matt Riddle came out, I was whoa. And that place, now, like I said to Bill, this is Hardy country. This is in the Carolinas. The Hardys, top billing. Boom. Hardy's coming. Oh, this place turns out they are going to love them some Hardys. When Matt Riddle showed up, and you can play it back, and I'm not exaggerating here. You say, oh, but J-Bone's full of it. No, play it back.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle got a bigger pop than the Hardys, period.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, Matt Riddle, when he was in WWE, Bill, he was way, way over, and people just loved him. I think people just liked him because he seemed just so chill. He's like Rob Van Dam 2.0. But when he showed up in TNA, man, just the internet just damn nearly broke.
Yeah, no, it's obviously he showed up in New Japan, AAA, MLW, repeatedly, but TNA, especially with stuff going on with NXT and WWE, that's kind of now the biggest, you could say, mainstream appearance he's made since the WWE. And even with that connection, I think it gets people thinking, well, all right, could he show up here? Could he show up again? Could that result in something with NXT, WWE again in the future if everything goes well? So I think it gets a lot of people excited. I know there's obviously another side to it where I know at least on social media, there were some people that are definitely not happy. A lot of people not happy with how he ended his run there and worried about whatever company he's going to go work for. But probably until he goes to the company they want to support, then all of a sudden I have a feeling a lot of those opinions may change. But as you said, it seems like from what we're hearing, it seems like everyone at TNA was very happy with it. They liked the reaction he got. It seems like he acted very well behind the scenes. But it obviously came together last minute. It was right now it's a one-off, but I think it does leave the door open for potentially. But once again, they had no plans, but maybe now they start thinking of some plans. And especially, I know it broke today with some news, but we already knew it was going to happen, that it definitely seems like Josh Alexander is going to explore free agency in February. That's a main event guy. Yeah. You could look, there's a main event guy. You could just stick right in there if you need to. Yeah.
Talks about him possibly going to the Royal Rumble. Maybe. That's still very, very up in the air. There's still, I'm sure Josh is still exploring his options, but I know he's expressed he actually wanted to go to NXT, but things didn't pan out for him. So I'm hoping that we do see him in the Royal Rumble too. So
I think there's a good shot of that.
That'll be excellent. That'll be so good. That'll be so good. Well, we got more TNA news coming up here in just a few moments, but let's go to the desk of Max Mages because we had a big event happen on Raw this past Monday and yesterday. It's weird. And last night's I'm still not used to the time change. Last night's episode of Raw delivered a shocking twist during a highly anticipated 10-year anniversary celebration of the New Day. Now, while fans were glued to their screens for the emotional roller coaster, the real masterminds behind the drama were the writers, and I hope I looked up this guy's name, how to pronounce it. Ben Sakocho, I believe that's how it's pronounced, and Carrie Hansen. Okay, now according to Fightful Select, these were the two creative forces that were credited with crafting the segment that left the WWE Universe stunned. During the celebration, Kofi and Woods were ready to announce their separation when Big E's music hit to a big pop. E told the New Day that he would come back to manage them. Woods and Kingston unleashed a torrent of frustration at Big E, accusing him of abandoning them during their struggles. Woods fired off, "Now you want to come back? You left us." Kingston doubled down by saying, "Broken neck or not, you chose yourself over us." The heated exchange ended with Big E storming out of the ring to a chorus of boos as fans watched a New Day turn heel in a dramatic but yet beautiful fashion. Max, you were talking about this earlier on social media, and I gotta say, man, this was not only remarkable writing and impeccable storytelling, but this is something fresh out of the Triple H Paul Levesque era, and I am so here for it.
I have been praising the Triple H era for a while. I've been praising the Bloodline story because that is one of the best things that he has put on TV. That's one of the best things any Fed has ever put on TV. And this is such in-depth storytelling. We're getting callbacks to months ago. The breaking of the phone by Solo. Roman goes to call the wise man on SmackDown a couple weeks ago, and that number's disconnected. We're actually seeing the fulfillment of all these things. We have had this build-up with the New Day going on for a while now. The friction has been there. These two just can't seem to get on the same page. And they come out last night, and they are talking to the fans. It's not you guys' fault. We love you guys. You're amazing. But we can't do this anymore. And Big E comes out. I'm going to patch things up. I'm going to bring the New Day back together. And then Xavier snaps, which, let's be honest, the way things have been going, we kind of saw that coming. We knew Xavier was going to snap. What these two masterminds did so brilliantly, something that is a testament to the Triple H era, is they surprised us. How often can you say you're surprised when you're watching really any wrestling booking? It's been harder and harder the more the dirt sheets get their claws in the internet. But we were surprised because Kofi, instead of taking Big E's side like we all thought he was going to do, Kofi sided with Xavier. And he turned his attack on Big E as well. Listen, 13 years ago on Monday Night Raw, October of 2011, the referees, the wrestlers, the divas, the cameramen, commentary, some tech guys all had a vote of no confidence in Triple H for becoming the new COO of the company. Because all kinds of bad things you're having. Oh, it's an unsafe work environment. Working for a wrestling, working in a ring. So they all walked out.
Yeah.
The following week on Raw, what happened? Triple H showed up and said, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to come out here for you people, for the fans, because that's why I'm doing this. Not for them. I'm doing it for the fans. And then John Cena comes out, expresses that he's going to stick around. He has his issues with Trips, but he's going to stay because it's Trips. Sheamus comes out and says, listen, when I attacked you from behind, you could have done what these guys did, but no, you manned up and you came and you kicked my ass. And then Punk came out, said his piece. One of the most brilliant things I had ever seen was those four making it entertaining without any real help.
Yeah.
Here we are, 2024, 13 years later. Who has all the confidence? Who is everybody backing? Triple H. And it's because of moments like last night. Did Triple H write that story? No, we just found out it was two other people, but Triple H had the smarts to bring them on and put them in charge of that story. And that's what was lacking from the WWE before the other guy left the chair.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, go ahead, J-Bone.
I was just gonna say Paul's got a great team. He's doing all the right moves. Is everything perfect by everyone's fan? No, you're not gonna make everyone happy, but Paul is making leaps and bounds. He's all gung ho on flipping this company around and trying to take it out of what was at the time, you could say maybe not gangbusters and, wonderful original programming that his father-in-law was doing, that a lot of people were just down on. And Paul's really, he's turning it into his own. And I couldn't be happier, really.
Yeah.
I gotta say, and all around, just real quick, we're talking about the Woods and Big E and Kofi thing with the New Day, but everything that happened between Sami Zayn, Punk, Seth Rollins, that was all very, whoa, where did this come from?
And Drew's surprise return.
Yeah. But it's the pro. Well, that's an easy thing to throw in at the end. Someone attacks and someone goes down and but the conversations that were being had, that's what I'm talking about. That's where people like really listen in. But now back to the New Day. They play this big promo. You remember as a fan, you guys know I preach about tag team wrestling all the time, how much I love it. And that is one of the big things that helped turn tag team wrestling around in this company, from the father-in-law, who clearly didn't give a shit about it for how long. It was teams like the New Day, where it was a breath of fresh air, culturally, visually, everything, three guys coming together that had nothing else to lose, that went full force on this and made it work. And the fans caught on and said, damn, we love this. Look at Rocky.
Even Rocky loves
Rocky.
it. Even Rocky loves it.
He's like, what a goof.
Can you believe they were the couple of the names they tossed around before they became New Day, who are best friends and super friends?
Oh God. Yeah, that's not going to get canceled from other companies. But anyways, the emotion. So it showed like historic moments, what they all accomplished together, supported each other through, Kofi doing this, Woods doing that, Big E doing this and that. And then together. And then what I think a lot of people thought, me too, this was a clashing of Kofi and Woods that was going to drive this whole thing to the end.
Yeah.
Bring it to the end of the road. And actually, in the conversation, when Big E came in, put Kofi and Woods back together, which I was like, because I'm like, well, okay, you could put Woods and Kofi in a quick feud.
Yeah.
Where does it go from there? What are you going to do with them? I don't know. But now all of a sudden you like stuck them both on the, you turn them to the dark side, which is the easiest way to put it. And the emotion, Big E wears his emotions on his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
And you felt what he was feeling. You were like, what? You couldn't believe the things that were coming out of Wood's mouth, the things that were coming out of Kofi's mouth. Big E trying like hell to get them to, no, just let's give this a chance. And they were like, no, stop. We're doing this, but we're doing this without you. And it was like, oh my God, just, you felt this weight on Big E. It was just, and the look on his face and the emotion, and it's just, damn.
And how they turned it back around on him, saying that, hey, you chose us, you chose your girlfriend, your new girlfriend over us, you chose your desk job over us, you broke your neck and you didn't come back,
right?
You know, and that's you know, honestly, I was watching that, Bill. I was watching it, man, and I was thinking if other promotions can just dial in to what the WWE is doing and kind of just run off into their own creative without doing something absolutely stupid and mindless. This is a breath of fresh air for professional wrestling, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, like they got creative in a way that I don't think obviously anybody was really expecting. Because you normally have your heel turns and they kind of a lot of time go by a formula. And this one did kind of like come out of nowhere. Like it is a long-standing face stable, but and the way they did it, like it was just a master class. Like that you can tell, like WWE was at the forefront of bringing in not wrestling writers but TV writers, and you can tell the difference because this was, as Martin Scorsese likes to say, cinema, and this was wrestling cinema. You saw here. Like the reactions, the wording, like when they were going through the broken necks and like hey, Edge came back, Kurt Angle came back. Like it was like you could just, the crowd was like, oh, each one was gut punches. And like, and Big E's reaction to all of them. It's like, they came back, he came back, he came back. What are you doing? And it really hit home. Like this was a great angle. And you're right. Like you're normal. And a lot of time you do get like the normal, oh, it's a celebration. Something may or may not go wrong. Even WWE does it. But for them to take that and spin it completely on its head and go in this direction with this angle that no one saw coming at this point, especially with Big E, with the injury, you're like, he ain't going to play a part in something like this. And then for him, obviously, to be the center of it, to go in that direction, it was well done. And that's why, for all like, and hey, Jay said it earlier, they don't do everything perfect, but when they hit on something like this, that's why they're who they are.
Yeah. You know, they're still figuring out their hiccups and they're still figuring things out, you know, definitely trying to get away from the Vince McMahon era of, you know, WWE that we had to deal with for so long, but there's going to be bumps in the road and we're not going to expect it to be all perfect, but that was damn near perfect. I totally applaud Paul Levesque and WWE for that, man. That was amazing, and it even had me on the edge of my seat too. But
you know, one of the best things about that is also you can apply it to Cody versus KO.
Yeah,
is they have made it a relatable thing to the point where you're going, wait, who's the face and who's the heel in this? Because, yeah, Kofi and Xavier seem like they're going heel, but aren't they justified in being upset? And KO, everybody, you know, nobody would listen to him when he would talk about how bad the Bloodline was, and then all of a sudden they're backing the Bloodline again after they realized who's really the bad guy in this story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad you brought that up too, because on SmackDown, when it was the banter going back and forth between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, I was wondering who the hell is the heel here, because Cody made Kevin cry. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? That was brilliant, and
amazing.
I just love what we're seeing, man. This is what we've missed in professional wrestling, you know,
that raw emotion.
Yeah, that raw emotion, the storytelling is what we've missed. And then you get the storytelling in the ring and with the matches, it's just a beautiful thing. But I mean, we could talk about that topic all day, but let's move on. And here's a name that we haven't heard from in a long time. Almost. He wasted no time in becoming a force to be reckoned with in WWE, thanks to his imposing stature and intense energy. but almost had some surprising supporters. It's not really a surprise anymore for him. He's been absent for a long time, and reports suggest that WWE is giving up on Omos. Basically, it was Dave Meltzer who said that WWE is giving up on Omos. But let's flash back here. Omos signed with WWE in 2019. Eventually, he was paired up with AJ Styles in 2020 to win the tag titles at WrestleMania 37. His most notable TV time was during this year's Royal Rumble. But since May of 23, he's barely been seen on WWE television. And like I just said, Dave Meltzer has said that WWE has given up on Omos. According to Ringside News, though, they were told by multiple sources that WWE uses him as an attraction talent. So the notation that WWE is giving up on him is untrue. It's kind of like what the Great Khali was for the WWE, just an attraction guy. The Big Show too, just an attraction guy, just to bring you in. But I love what RSN wrote on X towards Dave Meltzer. They said, quote,
Ooh.
reports of WWE giving up on Omos via Dave Meltzer are not true whatsoever. WWE uses him as an attraction talent, confirmed by multiple sources to RSN. Keep guessing, bro. End quote.
Interesting.
I love that. I love that because a lot of these dirt sheets get their news from Meltzer because they think it's true, and it's really not. The guy just, first of all, he's an AEW mark. Secondly, he just makes stuff up, and half of the time it's and half of the time it's okay. Maybe that's true, but we don't know because you're Dave Meltzer. So
Right.
I'm
And he's
pretty
been
sure
doing
he's
it
an
for
AEW
decades. So
exactly. I'm pretty sure at this point that he's an AEW employee.
I'm kind of wondering. I'm kind of wondering.
Triple H said something to a guy at a press conference a couple months back. The guy said, so there's reports of blah, blah, blah. And Triple H looked at him and said, you should get yourself better sources. Now, this caused a storm. And people thought he was referring to Sean Ross Sapp, which maybe he was.
Yeah.
But I know Triple H pretty well after, watching him in these press conferences. He was talking about Uncle Dave. All right. Uncle Dave is known for printing misinformation and then claiming, well, I told you it was subject to change. Great way to cover your ass.
Right.
Some of us do have a pretty strong opinion on Sean Ross Sapp, though. And that kind of storm you want to refer to when you're talking about that gentleman is a shitstorm.
That's the storm I was talking about.
Yeah.
And let me be clear. I'm not really a fan of Sean Ross Sapp. I'm just pointing out that Triple H was taking a shot at Meltzer, not at Sapp.
Yeah.
Well, see, Sean Ross Sapp is the kind of person that jumps in to your DMs when you have an opinion on something. He tells you how wrong you are. He tells you how talented he is and how many interviews he has with so-and-so, with so-and-so and so-and-so. And then right as you're about to ask him, oh, well, where are these interviews that you've had with, all these people? Oh, then you find yourself blocked.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of person that Sean Ross Sapp is. So anybody wants to give him credit,
you can get access to all that and more.
He's Sean Ross Sapp is garbage.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings if he blocked me. I've been blocked by Ryback. Okay.
Oh, did you tell him to retire?
Yes, I did. I've been blocked by Batista. Batista blocked me as well. You know what? That one bothers me a little bit. Sean Ross Sapp, fine. Cool story, bro. Block me. I don't care.
Next up is Meltzer to block you.
Oh.
Not Dave. Not dear old Dave.
Dave. And I want to give a shout out to Ringside News because a lot of our news does come from them, but they have been a very stable source of information for as far as our show goes. So big shout outs to ringsidenews.com for giving some liable sources on some of this stuff, because a lot of these dirt sheets, man, you can't really trust them, and a lot of it is all clickbait, and I don't find that with RSN. I really don't. And that's the beautiful thing. That's the one thing I praise about Ringside News, is that you don't get all the bullshit that you do with these other dirt sheets.
Yeah.
And
It's all
Billy?
reading tea leaves for the
Yeah,
most part.
exactly. Yeah.
And some have some sources. Like, there are some sources, and you just got to ferret out who has them where. Like, as you guys said, like AEW, Dave Meltzer stuff, you might be able to get some legit stuff out of that.
Yeah.
The WWE, they go to some different people. You can get some legit stuff out of that. But a lot of it is just people going, oh, this guy hasn't showed up in a year on TV. That's where Dave gets a story. He just put that together. Nothing behind that.
Right. And he thinks that WWE just gave up on somebody. It's just bullshit. It's bullshit. Max, go ahead.
In response to Angry Billy, I would like to point out, and you can ask Dizzy and J-Bone, I myself found myself shocked when I agreed with something that Ryback said recently. We talked about it right here on the show.
Yeah. Ryback basically defending WWE's holiday scheduling and giving time off for the wrestlers, and the marks not happy about it. And Ryback went to their defense, which shocked the hell out of me too. So,
and it's from a worker's point of view. So I mean, it makes sense, but it's still like, what?
Exactly. Well, let's keep the high praise for WWE going, and let's talk about Gunther, man. He's on the verge of signing a massive multi-year contract with the company, and according to Ringside News, the deal is believed to be in the final stages, if not already completed. Behind closed doors, the reaction to Gunther's contributions have been overwhelmingly positive, and according to sources, WWE sources describe him as a standout talent who has exceeded all expectations. They say, quote, the company has been thrilled with Gunther's performance in the ring and at media obligations, said one source. Another WWE official even went further, calling Gunther among the most professional talents they have ever worked with. Beyond this achievement, Gunther's attitude and work ethic have made him a favorite among those in WWE. With this new deal nearly finalized, the company is doubling down on the ring general as a cornerstone of its future, while his potential babyface turn is possibly near. It's cemented by a post-match ambush by Finn Balor on Raw. And I, for one, cannot wait to see what's next for Gunther. I was not really sold on the ring general, and I'm glad that he broke away from Ludwig, Kaiser, and the other guy. I can't think of his name.
Giovanni Vinci.
Thank you. Yeah, Giovanni Vinci. I'm glad that they broke away. I know Ludwig is still kind of hanging around, but I'm glad Gunther's too strong, man. Gunther has good mic skills. Gunther doesn't need a bunch of cronies hanging around him. He's just too damn good, and I applaud him for it, man. I'm here for it.
I mean, he was on this roll, with his cronies, nose in the air. I'm the greatest. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm the best. But now you're starting to see this back and forth that was going on, which was actually I feel like the feud it didn't get enough praise as it should have, in my opinion, with Damian Priest, because I felt like Damian Priest really brought out a different side of Gunther, where Gunther, and it started, like he said, it started with the loss to Cody. Mm-hmm. And that put the cracks in the foundation of Gunther, and it brought him down a few pegs, So yeah, Gunther's going through some how do I say this?
Growing stages, some growing pains.
Yeah. I think that's about the best way I could put it. Yeah. And it's but it's awesome because you're not just seeing he's on this pedestal and blah, 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 blah. And you can only do that so much until it gets a little stale over, X amount of weeks, months, whatever, however you do this. Like they said, 75% of his career in WWE, he's had gold. Okay. But how do you keep that fresh? This is how you keep that fresh. You show the cracks in the foundation. You show a different side of him, and yet keep him, strong at the same time. You keep him going against, guys like former champions, Damian Priest, former champions, Finn Balor, or whoever's next. It's he's doing great. He really is doing great.
Yeah, and Bill, this all goes back to creative. The story writing, the storytelling, and the mic work that these guys are putting forth. And Gunther has seen to show himself really, really strong on the mic as he continues to make his way up with people that he's working with. And I think this feud with he and Damian Priest is absolutely wonderful. I really do.
Yeah, no, this is a guy, like, I know when we just got off of TNI, I went over a lot with like Moose, like how he went from a pro football player to who I think is a fantastic wrestler, like just the improvement over those years. And I remember seeing then Walter at Joey Janela's spring break in person years ago, going up against PCO in one of the best matches of that weekend.
Yeah.
And to see where he's come from then to now, both physically and with everything else. And this was a guy,
right?
Like, not only like with the English, like just to be able to cut promos, but in not your native language and be that good at it. It's just another thing. Like that guy's put in the work, like obviously physically, but with obviously the promo skills and everything else. Like that's a guy that deserves it. Just like you see, there's like in TNA, it was Moose, Jordan Grace, like these people that have just put in this work over the last 4, 5, even 10 years to get to where they've gotten. It's evident, and it's great to see it because obviously I know a lot of other people are putting in the work. They probably don't get the results that some of these others do, but it's the opportunity, taking advantage of it, and really just going all the way you can with it. And Gunther's done that.
I think Kaiser's starting to turn some heads too, and he just had a phenomenal match in this pay-per-view, which is sadly, I say that only from what I'm hearing. It's the only match I missed during Survivor Series was the triple threat of Kaiser, Sheamus, and Braun Breaker. So we'll see where that goes in the coming weeks. But,
Max. I mean, Max, it also goes without saying that the work that you put in, you get back tenfold. And with any kind of federation or any kind of indie promotion or any kind of mainstream like WWE promotion that you do, if you put in the work, you will get that back tenfold, because the company is going to invest in you because they know that you are a good worker, right? Not only in the ring, but you're willing to do stuff for the company that nobody else is. And I'm sure you've seen, working in the indies, as many indie promotions as you have, you've seen guys like that have gone above and beyond for a promotion, not only to put on a good show, but maybe, help with the ring or take it down or something like that, or going out for media or anything like that, Max.
Yeah. And, there's going to be a point somewhere in the future. We're going to look back and we're going to say, is Gunther the GOAT? Because this man, not only is he talented, he's got great mic skills, as we pointed out. He can do a wide variety of stuff in that ring. But when you watch him get in the ring, you'll notice that he takes the time to wipe his feet. This is an old school respect for the ring thing that you don't see a lot. Even when he's out there beating the hell out of someone, he's making sure that they're learning from him as they go, because there's a reason he's called the ring general, and it's not just a WWE thing. This is something that came with him when he came to NXT UK, when he came to the regular NXT, when he came to the main roster. The guy is phenomenal. One of the first matches I ever really paid attention to of his was Gunther versus Pete Dunne. And if you have not seen that match, it's for the NXT UK Championship. Go watch it. It's on Peacock. I promise you there's only one match I consider better than that, and that goes all the way back to WrestleMania 10, brother versus brother. But check out Gunther versus Pete Dunne. Don't call him Butch.
Right, yeah.
There is one other thing I want to bring up about last night, that match on Raw. I sense another shakeup coming to Judgment Day after what we saw, because Finn is demanding this match, and Gunther's like, well, you haven't beat me, or, oh, you haven't even beat Damian Priest, but he has. So he says, in fact, Dominic can have a match against me tonight. So this pisses Finn off. When he came out and attacked Gunther after the match, he told Dominic, pay attention, you might learn something, kid. So it seems to me that there's about to be some friction between those two. And I think what you're going to see is not Finn. I don't think it's going to be Finn. I think Dom's going to turn face out of this whole thing. And I think Gunther's also going to go face.
Yeah.
If he doesn't turn face, it's just going to be another growth spurt for Dom. Because if you noticed how he's done his career, he's gone through phases where he's, he joined the Judgment Day. He had, and he was, listen to the crowds, that's right there. Biggest reaction when he comes out, to the point where you can't even hear the guy on the mic. Okay, that's gold right there.
Yeah.
You can't pay for that kind of heat. It's unreal. And the next phase part of it was this stuff with Rhea and Liv, which right there, more gold. It's like, how are they attracted to looks like an Eddie Guerrero ripoff? I don't get it. No, it's money.
Yes, but at least we know who his poppy really is.
After years, finally we can put the discussion to rest. It's Eddie, duh. I mean,
it's phenomenal for me to watch Dominic Mysterio come up with, when they paired him with the Judgment Day. By the way, that was a fantastic call on the WWE's part to pair him up with the Judgment Day, because when he came out with his dad, nobody gave a crap about him. Like, nobody gave a shit about him. But when you get that kind of heat, when you're on the microphone and you can't even hear what he's saying on the microphone, that's what J-Bone just said. That is heat that you couldn't even ask for. Like, that is absolute heel heat, and that is what you need to sustain a career in this industry. And it's going to be interesting what they do with Dominic to hopefully. I hope that they've worked with him. They're going to develop him. If this face thing does turn out to be true, if he does turn face, I really hope that they are that they're willing to work with him now, that they have a little more faith in him, to help him progress as that face. So that's going to be good.
I told you guys we went to the 2-night event, NXT Raw, and I told you guys going into that, I truly believe they had to be piping some of those boos in. They had to be turning his microphone down. But when you're sitting there in the middle of the Pepsi Center, watching Dom come down to that ring, trying to talk on the mic, you feel the fact that that's not piped in boos. That's not a microphone turned down.
You know what I want them to do? I want them to put up that live and loud graph.
Yes.
Whenever he comes out and talks, I want them to put that up so bad, just to see what the decibels are, just to see what they are, man. But let's move on, because there's another stable that's in for a change, and it looks like the Alpha Academy has undergone a rebrand. A new merchandise revealed that on the last night's episode of Raw, seemingly confirms her new identity as the Alpha Babes. During a backstage interview, Otis, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree proudly showed off their latest gear featuring the new name. The nickname, the Alpha Babes, isn't really new, having been used casually in the past, but the debut of official merchandise strongly suggests that the company is moving forward with the name change. Since parting ways with Chad Gable, the trio has continued under the Alpha Academy banner. However, this shift appears to mark a fresh start for the group as they expand their characters and solidify their identity, which to me, what are they? I mean, they're pedal pushers. They're merchandise pushers. You know, I saw them on a segment, and they were on, I think it was on Survivor Series, and they were pushing some shirts. They gave Otis a shirt, and they said, "Hey, put this on. It's going to make him feel a lot better." And this is where we get the whole, "Oh yeah," the yeah. Then we get the. This is the part I hated about the Alpha Academy. Okay, when Otis did that stupid, yeah, and then Akira Tozawa does a stupid shuffle. And what does Maxine do? She just stands there and just kind of, I don't know what the company is going to do with these guys. I wish that they would just separate them. I think Maxine Dupree needs to turn heel. I think Otis needs a heel run, and Akira, I don't know what to do with him. If I were calling the shots, I don't know what I would do with Akira Tozawa, because he's just cringeworthy, man.
What did you say the new group is called?
They're called the Alpha Babes.
Alpha Babes?
Yeah, which if you look at Otis, he is far from a fucking babe. I mean,
what?
Hey, that might be someone's thing.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's somebody out there has to love the guy. I don't know what you see in him, but that's what we got for WWE news. Let's move on to some AEW news. And Juice Robinson may be facing a significant setback after reportedly suffering a potential broken foot. The injury occurred during the match against Will Ospreay on the November 30th episode of Collision that was taped earlier on the 27th as part of the AEW Continental Classic. Fans already have spotted Robinson using crutches during WrestleCade weekend, adding to concerns about the seriousness of the injury. If confirmed, the potential broken foot could sideline Rock Hard Juice Robinson for an extended period, impacting both his participation in the Continental Classic and overall momentum in AEW. The company has yet to release an official statement on Juice, but with tomorrow's show, Dynamite, just around the corner, fans are hoping for some kind of clarity on Robinson's conditions. So, Juice, we pray for you, man. We hope you're okay. And let's continue with AEW news, because
we love the Juice.
Yeah, we love the Juice, man. This is kind of sad, honestly. The viewership figures for the November 27th episode of Dynamite on TBS have been revealed. And this is sure to lead to plenty of conversation among fans, which is usually the case every episode, every single week, especially on this show. According to WrestleNomics, last week's show drew 536,000 viewers with a 0.15 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic. That marks a massive decrease in viewership from last week's episode, which attracted 640,000 viewers with a 0.20 demo rating. This week's episode of Dynamite saw Brody King crush Darby Allin in the Continental Classic, Jamie Hayter advancing to the Russell Dynasty tournament, and many other memorable moments that took place throughout the show. And I was going to ask this question to Baron, but I'm going to ask this to you guys, man. This seems to be a running theme in AEW, where they see more decreases in viewerships on weekly shows than they do maybe on pay-per-view buys. And we've tried to dive in and dial in to what the problem is. And I kind of want to get Bill's opinion on this first. What do you think is the problem with AEW as far as what you just heard with the viewership decrease and the fans just not really tuned in to what the company is doing?
We talked about it earlier with WWE, and I don't want to make everything a comparison with these different companies, but I think really what it is, there's not that storyline that people invest in. The fans want a major storyline to really invest in. And hey, AEW, can they have great matches? Yes. Do they have a great roster of wrestling individuals? Yes.
Yeah.
Do they put them together right? Do they put everything together on a show right? Certain shows, like their pay-per-views, a lot of the time, they can be great. Like they can put together a bunch of great matches, but are people invested in those storylines that got to those matches? Not a lot of the time. It's super indie cards for the most part. It's like, let's just see what would be a fun match. But is there storytelling? Is there psychology? Not a lot of the time. I was just at AEW in Reading for the Go Home show and for Full Gear. Right. And it was, and I heard guys I didn't know next to me, the group I was with me, all said it was the worst wrestling show they've ever been to.
Ooh.
The highlight were the Costco guys.
Yeah,
and that's the highlight of your wrestling show. Yeah. You got some problems.
I still don't know who the hell those guys are. I missed.
Give you a big boom.
Eric Bischoff was on a podcast, and Bill, he said basically what you just said. AEW is catering to the fans that like high intensity wrestling, the Ricochets, the Will Ospreys, those kind of matches, but they're not doing anything storyline wise. And he gave this great comparison of what a storyline should look like that AEW is not doing. Boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl, boy tries to get girl back, and they get back together. Somewhere around that ballpark. But the thing is, it may not be a good storyline, but at least you have something there, And Max has said this a lot. Tony Khan seems to have in his mind at least these figures, right? These AEW action figures, and he's just doing whatever he wants with them. So he's like a child sitting in his bedroom playing with these action figures and just doing whatever he wants with them. And that's exactly what we're seeing on TV. And it sucks because you have syndicate.
I'm sorry. I keep thinking of that scene of the Spaceballs.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, come here. No, yes, no, yes. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, your helmet.
Yeah. You have the Hurt Syndicate.
Knock first. Oh.
MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin, who are yeah, and they're giving a good story, but it's not popping, man. It's not connecting with the fans, So I think that I definitely think that Bill, you hit on something there. They got some work to do, man, especially with these numbers that we're seeing here, guys. They've got some big time and work to do.
And this, I would hope they take that, and that seems to be the issue. Is I think there's just a hard headedness there, where they don't take the criticism and they don't and honestly, I want to see all the wrestling succeed. I want to see a better product. And honestly, before the later Vince years in WWE, same way. They thought there was no competition out there. So were they as creative as they wanted to be? Were they adapting? Were they changing? No, it was same old stuff out there. And it was not the best television. It was bad. There was some good stuff here and there. But for the most part, pre-Bloodline, WWE was rough a lot of the time. It was a rough watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The late 2000s, And when TNA started really ramping up, in the scene, I mean, the scene was completely different, but just to give it a comparison, it's like, they bought all their competition. Now they're just, fighting with themselves and trying to create all these things while TNA's over here. People are like, all right, well, what's over here? TNA's kicking ass, man. Created the X division. You got guys like Kurt Angle, Christian, and other guys that are reinventing themselves. Sting still kicking ass. Yeah, they were clicking all the buttons, man.
Yeah, it's like that mindset. It's like it's the same thing. Like you want to bring in that big act to sell a show, and that's how they treat all these free agents that are out there. Instead of focusing, like Hurt Syndicate, that could be a huge storyline. Those guys obviously they did it before. People didn't want to see that go away. They could focus that, but it's like no, let's just now go get something else. And that's the thing. It's like every week, it's like we got to give you something that will, in their mind, pop the rating for a week or two, and then just forget about it. Put it on the back burner, and you're not even getting that pop anymore because everyone knows now. It's like, oh, all right, oh, they're here. What are they going to do? Nothing. Okay, I don't care anymore.
Well, and that's really, honestly, the only thing they have going for them is the Hurt Syndicate and the storyline with Jon Moxley. That's all they really got going for them, and it's kind of sad to see because, just like you said, Bill, it's like what's going on? Like, who's got the story? Like, what is the story? Because you bring in all these free agents from New Japan, MLW. Ring of Honor, which I don't even think is on TV. If you're watching New Japan, it's like months behind. And they bring in these storylines to AEW, and everybody's like, "What the hell is going on? What is this?"
Yeah.
And the whole free agent thing. We're going to get into that because Ricky Starks is in the news. The free agent thing is just redonkulous, and I'm kind of interested in what Bill, you have to say and what Max has to say about this too. But let's dive into this because this involves GCW and the fallout from AEW pulling Ricky Starks from all future GCW appearances just took a big turn as GCW promoter Brett Lauderdale addressed the controversy head on during the GCW Weekly podcast. Lauderdale didn't hold back, shedding light on the messy situation that has left indie fans scratching their heads. He says, quote, "It's a weird situation because Ricky Starks is an independent contractor." Lauderdale began hitting at the heart of a long-standing debate in pro wrestling. Theoretically, an independent contractor is independent. They can work wherever they want. But in wrestling, these so-called independent contractors don't seem very independent. They're at the whim of an employer, making it seem like they're employees. Lauderdale shared his frustration, revealing he found out about Starks' removal at the same time as the public. He also admitted to having zero direct communication with AEW, saying, quote, "I've never talked to Tony Khan on the phone or via text in my entire life. Any AEW talent who has worked with us, those arrangements have always been between me and the talent. I assume everything is cleared on their end." So I'm not sure where Max went, but Bill, you just touched on this. Is the independent contractors the problem with indie wrestling and big promotions, or is it something deeper that we don't know?
Well, it seems like, at least with obviously TNA in the past, it seems like AEW works that way too, where obviously they have priority contracts with their roster. And if there is availability on weekends or whenever they're not working or scheduled to work, then they have the ability to then work those shows. But the comments from Brett are kind of surprising that he's leaving that all, or maybe even like AEW in this instance, is leaving it all to the performer themselves to handle everything. Like, I know for a fact in TNA, they go through somebody with the talent development. Like, they're not like if you're using Moose next weekend for your show, you're not doing that all with Moose. Like, you can have talks with Moose, but in the end, you're dealing with somebody at TNA to get that figured out. And it's very surprising because I know for a fact on indie shows that AEW have worked. If you ever look at those results, they never lose. It could be the last man on the roster. They're not going to lose unless they're fighting another AEW talent on an indie show somewhere. So there is some input there. So unless he's just like, I just won't bother them, they'll always win. But that surprised me that he's supposedly had no conversation ever with them. I know like certain people, they take an onus, but in the end, it usually comes from an office to have that thing with it, because they are all independent contractors to an extent, for sure.
And you know that it surprises me that, you know, we see the relationship with TNA and WWE, and they seem to work very, very well together. And it's kind of it's surprising, but it shouldn't be as surprising as it is to me to think that Tony Khan isn't really working with these other independents, even though he owns Ring of Honor. He's worked with MLW, he's worked with CMLL, he's working with all these promotions, he's even working with New Japan, and things seem to be firing on all cylinders. So I don't know if it's something with Brett Lauderdale as the promoter, maybe not as hands-on as he should be, because there's a lot of different work ethics out there. You know, there's work ethics where, you know, people are hands-on, and you have to be kind of hands-on with your wrestlers, with your employees, and then others are kind of like, I'm just going to let him do what he does because he does his job. And that's honestly a little scary. Max, you've been in the industry, you know about these types of things. Are independent contractors in the wrestling business a bad or a good thing?
It depends on your perspective. Independent contractor, it means different things depending on what industry you're in. For example, I worked for a tech company 12 years ago. I was an independent contractor with them, which meant that during my famine days, I could go work somewhere else until they needed me again. And they didn't take care of taxes. They didn't offer me insurance because I was an independent contractor. In this particular case, independent contractor is just a way for them to get out of spending certain things on their employees, but they're still exclusive to whoever they've signed that contract with. And that's where the problem comes in. People don't understand that just because I'm an independent contractor working for WWE or AEW or TNA, it doesn't mean that I'm free to just go wherever I choose. Now, sometimes that is true. You will see like TNA before these monumental deals that were made with the WWE. I would love to have been in on those negotiations because I cannot believe that this turned out as well as it did for everybody. But before that, TNA was pretty loose with their workers. You want to work in any show this weekend? Go ahead. That's fine. AEW has given them a little leeway. WWE is pretty strict. It's got to be a pretty special thing for them to go, oh, you're going to work that indie show? Go ahead. Typically, it's something like Tommy Dreamer. It's not the Jericho Cruise. You can't do that because Jericho's AEW. But it's something special they might let them go. But they're still getting permission. They are contracted, yes, but they are contracted at the whim of whoever signed the contract with them. In this case, AEW. AEW has decided, wait a minute, we may not be, and maybe they're going to use him, but we may not be using you, but we've decided we don't want you to appear on these shows.
Yeah.
You know, you're our contracted employee. We're rescinding the agreement.
And, you know, it surprises me that we're even talking about this when Scott D'Amore was recently seen at the Performance Center for WWE, trying to recruit some for his Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling promotion in Canada, which, you know, I don't know how WWE really feels about that. I don't even know how AEW feels about that. But, you know, my question was, what if, WWE employees and AEW employees get in the same room? Is it going to be a good turnout? Is it not? And that's, it's all kind of a scary thing to think about, honestly. So we're going to leave it up to you, the listener. Is it a good thing or a bad thing about the independent contractors in the wrestling business? We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Let's turn to another piece of news before we get into some more TNA stuff. The final piece of news that I have here regarding AEW, and fans have been kind of wondering about where Samantha Irvin will wind up in pro wrestling since her unexpected departure from WWE. Ricochet has now shed some light on that, and he's addressed some things. While speaking on the Wrestling Classic, Ricochet was asked whether there was a chance that Samantha Irvin could make an appearance to be a special ring announcer for him in a big match and not in a full-time role. Ricochet stated that it's unlikely, as he explained, that she doesn't want to be a ring announcer anymore, no matter the sport. He added that she doesn't enjoy announcing people's names or introducing them. Now, I follow closely to a lot of the news in wrestling, and when Samantha left the WWE, she was all over the place, and I got so sick of her. And for her not to come back into professional wrestling, that's kind of a good thing, because personally, I don't think anybody gave a flying shit about Samantha Irvin, or for that matter, Ricochet. I don't think people much care about Ricochet. And if she comes back as a character, it will be on AEW, and that will be a program that I no longer watch. I mean, how can you capture, we just talked about it, how can you capture a character's emotion in a story to connect with fans as she wants to do when the company can't even tell a damn story? Samantha, I say this with all due respect, stay the fuck out of wrestling business. Ricochet, please go back to being some sort of film extra that nobody cares about, because I can guarantee you nobody really cares about you. I am so sick of this debate. I'm sick of Samantha Irvin's name being brought up. She's gone. Let's forget about her. I was never a fan, still not a fan. Your guys' thoughts. We'll start with J-Bone.
I know this has been a long-standing thing that you are not a fan of Samantha Irving's announcing, that it was like nails on a chalkboard for you.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you now. You watched WarGames, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had to look this up because I wanted to, do it properly. What do you think of Alicia Taylor's announcing? Because honestly, I find it very similar. I'm not saying she's a copycat.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she's trying to copy Samantha Irving, but I find her very similar to Samantha Irving. What is your opinion on Alicia Taylor's?
I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. And here's why. With professional wrestling or any kind of professional sport, you don't need to be over the top, man. You don't need to be growly
Right.
and just dramatic about an entrance. You need to be what Howard Fink was. You need to be what Lillian Garcia is. You need to be calm, cool, collected. Justin Roberts, a great example of what a ring announcer should be. Michael Buffer, he was kind of over the top, but he had a way of not being so nails on the chalkboard with that.
Keep it to the catchphrase.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can do that with a catchphrase. Absolutely. But not when you're introducing the wrestler, because their entrance is what sets them apart from other wrestlers in the company. And when you growl and get that excitement in your voice for every single competitor that walks to the ring, they're no different than anybody else in the back. And everybody has to be on the same page. You can't be over the top with everyone else, like Samantha Irvin did with Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green. Lillian Garcia is not doing that.
Right.
She doesn't do that. from what I've heard, she doesn't do that. And I love that about Lillian. And I've always loved that about Lillian.
Yeah, and I'll compare Lillian Garcia similar, not the same, but similar to like what TNA has in Bill. What's her name? Jade
Chung or Jade Alexander.
Right. Yeah, Josh's wife. Right. I didn't know exactly if they were calling her Jade Chung or Alexander. Wasn't sure how they were recognizing her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's simple. Good. It's not over the top. It's just it's there. She does a good job. She's no David Penzer, for the show. But David Penzer has a legendary voice that has been around for decades, so you've got that reputation. Jade Chung has just a respectable, listenable voice. Alicia Taylor, in my opinion, is even more grating on the ears than Samantha Irving. Like I appreciated Samantha Irving for what she brought. It became a little too over the top towards the end of her, stint with WWE. But now Alicia Taylor's coming in to fill those shoes, and she's like, she's going to lose her voice in a month. I swear to God. And it's just, so I'm in the same boat as Dizzy. It's like, bro, bring back, who's the guy they shipped down to NXT? Bring him back, seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's this? I think it was Tom Hannafin's little brother is what they brought. What's his name?
I need to look that up. Yeah, because.
And by the way, Tom Hannafin, gold. Period. Gold with Matthew Raywald. Gold. Props. Continue.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up because I just looked up ring announcer for NXT.
Critical Sting. The critical Sting meter went off. Mike Rome.
Thank you.
Mike Rome. Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Mike Rome does great. He does this very similar to what Tom Hannafin sounding voice. Not that Tom Hannafin announces, but he's got that same,
Yeah. And that's what you need in a company, and I just I'm glad that you put that up for comparison, J-Bone, because it was very like,
oh, I had to because I know.
Yeah.
I giggle when you get all emotional about Samantha Irvin, so I'm like, oh, I gotta ask him about Alicia Taylor.
Samantha just pissed me off because she was just so over the top, and you knew that she was just so over the top. But then you watch AEW. Honestly, I'm a big time fan of Justin Roberts. I love that guy. I love his.
He's another goat. Yeah, I love him.
He was screwed on his way out. Like he never should have been gone from WWE. But
he was also almost murdered by Daniel Bryan. Yeah. Jeez,
there was a tie incident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's Justin Roberts is the only reason that I watch AEW programming. And if Samantha Irvin comes on, I'll just mute it. I'll just mute her. But that's one of the things that took away from the love of professional wrestling almost. I mean, when you get that over the top thing, when you get that over the top entrance, it just doesn't hit the same way as when you listen to Howard Finkel do it, or Lillian Garcia do it, or even Michael Buffer introduce the wrestlers.
Right. It's you can't give everyone the same. You can't give everyone that same, punch.
Yeah.
You gotta
play it straight.
You gotta find your voice. It's also paying respect to the person you're announcing. Mm-hmm. If everyone sounds the same, they're not going to be excited who you're announcing and who's coming to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be
that is part of it.
About who's coming out.
It should not be about the announcer.
You're a conduit. And I'm liking this about the Ramblers. This is what I like, because as J-Bo knows, I love taking deep dives into things like referees and I'll maybe not the people you normally focus on during shows, but same way, you shouldn't notice a referee. You shouldn't notice an announcer. The commentary, color, notice from time to time, but especially the play-by-play, you shouldn't notice other than getting the information. Like there's ways to excel at doing that, but you're right. Like over the top, only Sly Stallone should be over the top, never the ring announcer. And I see what you're getting at, but I'll put it as, because I know like Critical Sting was like, whoa, you said that about Samantha Irvin? Like, what's going on here? But I know obviously she has a lot of people that are very pro that style, and that might just be something that maybe I was thinking, maybe I'm just in the past. That's what people want today, and maybe they do. Like maybe that's going to be an evolution in that way of announcing. But we all, I think, grew up that Howard Finkel, that Michael Buffer. I was a big classy Jimmy Lennon and boxing fan. It's showtime. Like just give me if you want to get a phrase in there, but then just give me the details. And I'll say this for ring announcing. My pet peeve, and I've said it on TNI plenty of times, and I was a big fan of Penzer for doing it this way. No pregnant pauses, because that gets one fall. One of my all-time hated chants in professional wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
don't leave because if you leave the pause, that's what you're asking for. And once again, you're trying to get yourself over doing that. Just talk through it. And guess what? It can't happen. It's like the chant for a promo. The most disrespectful thing in wrestling. Big Stone Cold fan. But that become the most disrespectful chant in wrestling. The what people means you can't cut a promo.
Yeah.
Like, how did Penzer become
pause
pregnant?
too much?
Wait, what?
The pregnant pause.
Yeah.
Trust me, J-Bone. You know.
There's a way that you introduce people. There's a way that you cut promos, and there's a way to keep that all natural. And you're right, Bill. It's not about the ring announcer. You are not the star that everybody paid the money to come and see. They came to see the wrestlers. They didn't come to see you. They want to hear you introduce them, but that's what gets them. That's what gets the wrestlers their independence. Like if it's all straight down the middle, you're introducing them all straight down the middle. That's what gives everybody their independence, because the wrestler is going to do the rest. You don't need to go over the top for an introduction. And I hope somebody out there is watching this who's a ring announcer or aspiring to be a ring announcer.
Yeah.
Don't go over the top, for the love of God, because I will get on this podcast and I will shit all over you, because it's annoying.
If you are, do it for the main event. And that the main event deserves to be the main event. Give it a little extra punch.
Fine. And that's why they brought in WCW. That's why they brought Michael Buffer in for every single
main event.
Right. Just for the main event. Just for the main event. And that is okay. Yeah, we're gonna get the crowd hyped up for this main event, right? But you get the crowd hyped up, and then you do the introductions right down the middle. You don't put any like extra emphasis on the wrestlers. You don't growl when they come out. And I know that I know that the company loved that, but it had to be ear grating on the people in the crowd, man. It would just be like cringe, that cringe moment that, stop that, man. It's just that's one of my pet peeves too. It's one of my pet peeves. Let's get into some. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm gonna share a picture with you guys here in just a moment. And this is the announcer that I always go back to. And this goes when I'm talking about announcers, I'm going back to Warner Brothers, and people say, Warner Brothers, what are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about Bugs Bunny here.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite Bugs Bunny skits of all time. And people are like, where the hell is this going? I'll show you. I'm showing you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find it here because I just downloaded the pic.
If you're talking Bugs Bunny, I'm a big time fan of Looney Tunes.
Okay, good.
Some Looney Tunes. Go ahead, man.
Good. All right. Well, this is one of my favorite of all time, and this is the announcer that I always think of when it comes to this cartoon.
Are you talking about the boxing one? Yeah.
No, it was I think it was wrestling, but
yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Crusher.
The Terror.
That's your announcer there.
Oh my God! Yes.
Bring them back.
Yes, I love
classic. Yeah,
I love it. Well, let's turn over to some more TNA news. We talked earlier about Matt Riddle and TNA's Turning Point. A lot of other stuff happened in Turning Point 2, including Alexander Hammerstone during the Turkey Bowl match, the infamous Turkey Bowl match that they brought back for TNA's Turning Point. The comedic stakes turned serious when Alexander Hammerstone reportedly injured his knee during the bout. According to sources, Hammerstone banged up his knee while competing in the Loser Wears a Turkey Suit match in the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The match included Joe Hendry, Eric Young, Rhino, Brian Myers, and John Schuyler. Demanded a lot of it from its competitors, and they fought to avoid embarrassment of donning the dreaded turkey costume. Hammerstone's injury forced an unexpected shift mid-match, though, but Brian Myers and John Schuyler were praised backstage for adopting on the fly to keep the match on track. Bill, were you there for Turning Point? Did you go to that?
I was not at Turning Point because of it being the WrestleCade weekend. I was there a couple of years ago when they did the IPWF because I had already committed, because that's something, for those unfamiliar with the WrestleCade convention, that's something that kind of goes on sale like a year ahead of time. And like, if you want anywhere in like the first like 5 rows, you got to buy tickets then. So you got to make an early commitment. And I'm a big wrestling show fan, but a convention, I kind of did it the one time and I'm like, been there, done that. If there was even more wrestling shows, I may have gone again. If I knew TNA was there, maybe I would have committed early to it. But at that point, I wasn't going to make the long car ride down just to pretty much go in the TNA GA and then leave after. So I sat that one out. I watched on my TNA Plus app.
There you go. Well, because I missed the Turning Point pay-per-view, or the PLE. I need to start calling it the PLE. For those of us, including me, that doesn't know what the Turkey Bowl match is, can somebody paint the picture for that? Because I have no clue what that is.
Well, it's a multi-individual because there has been mixed before, but you get a number of people in a match, and it's kind of just like a scramble match where the one that gets pinned in the end will have to wear the infamous turkey suit, which, as we were talking about on TNI, has had some illustrious people wear it in the past, such as AJ Styles, but also maybe some of the more comedic wrestlers wound up donning the suit at different times. So Johnny Swinger, one of our favorites, being one of them. But this year, obviously, it was Brian Myers. But sometimes it seems like a John Schuyler was probably more like, oh, that's going to be the obvious guy because he's always the butt of jokes and stuff like that. Have him wear the suit. But they went more with Myers, who's in a big stable, successful stable, recently was a tag champ, well-known guy from WWE. So they'll mix it up. It ain't always the obvious. But it is a Thanksgiving tradition. So I'm glad they keep it on. Eli Drake, now LA Knight, infamous for renaming it the Turkey Trot during his era.
Right.
But so they've had some alterations, but it's usually a scramble match.
Okay. I do have to point out one thing, and I proudly say this in front of the show, Daniel Spencer, for holding the turkey suit while everyone's being announced, and he's standing there. He is stone-faced, but his hand is in the turkey head. And every once in a while, you see the turkey head move. Like, it's actually like, yeah, like,
well, it's paying attention to the rules.
Yeah, he's like paying attention
very subtle.
to what's going on.
Like, if you're not looking at him with holding the suit, you don't notice it. But it's those little things, and that I like. Like, give me a little thing that I got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So it's like you're listening to the rules while everyone's in the ring, and he's just standing there. He's just sober, stone faced.
Yeah, it's perfect observational humor because it's a very comedic match, and you're trying to take it seriously.
But the turkey's like alive and well, just like, oh, what's going on over here? It's like, what are you doing?
The turkey's like a Muppet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no. Oh my God.
I love it. Just little movements, like, oh, it's like it's its own character. But Daniel's just like, love it. Absolute gold. So I dug up this old photo. I just got a quick show. This is
go ahead.
This is the match.
Oh yeah, there it is. There
it is.
I remember that.
That's a real ham and egger.
Right there.
Yeah, right.
That went several rounds from my recollection. It was beautiful.
Yes, it did. Yeah. So have we heard anything on the condition of Alexander Hammerstone as far as what happened during the Turkey Bowl match? Do we know how he's doing?
Doesn't seem to be any real update. I take that to mean like holiday weekend. Hopefully something comes up in the next couple days.
Yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't too serious. The thing I know about Hammerstone is he's been kind of beat up since kind of the end of his MLW run with some of these injuries, especially to the lower body. Go NHL terms with a lower body injury on this. But it seems like leg, foot, ankle type issues, and obviously he was out for a bit at the end of last year where his push had to be delayed in TNA. Then obviously he's been doing so much of the bodybuilding. I think that obviously is taken a toll and maybe contributed to some stuff. So it feels like more like maybe there was even something already there that just kind of got exacerbated during this match. So hopefully if it's nothing too serious, more like in maybe like a sprain, a tweak, because they do have tapings in not this weekend, but the following weekend in Atlanta, which will take them all the way up to the next big tentpole premium live event in Genesis. So if he were to miss that'd be rough there, especially with him and Jake Something tagging a lot lately. So if he can't work there, hopefully they can at least do segments or something to keep him in play. But if not, then I would imagine by Texas at the latest, which is now mid to late January, he'd be ready to go.
Okay. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on Hammerstone's condition and see what happens. If there's any news, we'll definitely let you know. Let's move on to Steph DeLander. She is not taking her wedding snub lightly. After one of the wildest and most unforgettable moments in TNA history, her chaotic wedding to PCO, fans and DeLander herself are left scratching their heads at its omission from the TNA 2024 end-of-year awards. DeLander wasted no time venting her frustration on social media, calling out the company for the glaring oversight. TNA official Twitter announced the start of fan voting for the annual awards, writing, quote, "It's that time of year again. You decide the winners in our 2024 end-of-year awards. The polls are now open until this Friday," end quote. While other standout moments from the year, such as the System Takes Over, made the cut, the horror-themed wedding of DeLander and PCO was nowhere to be found, and DeLander was not about to let that slide. She went to, she took to Twitter, and she quoted TNA's post and tweeted, "Hold up, the System Takes Over is an option for moment of the year, but my wedding with PCO didn't make the list. LOL, I'm dead at this," end quote. The irony of her phrasing wasn't lost on her fans who joined the chorus of discontent online with her. The wedding was held, of course, on August 1st, and Impact, where an interruption from Matt Cardona was the key to the entire segment. Now, we were all talking off air about weddings that we've seen in the past. Max, you had kind of a notable one because we were talking about weddings that don't necessarily get brought up in, like, let's say the WWE Slammies, but one wedding was like a classic, and that was between a very, very popular wrestler. Go ahead, Max.
I think the greatest, most important wedding we have ever watched in wrestling history was when we watched Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth get married. There is nothing that will ever achieve that level of impact that wedding had on anybody watching it. And as I've gotten older, I've got to say there's only one other wedding I can think of that I thought was really good, and that was Bully Ray to Brooke Hogan, but that's mostly because of wardrobe malfunctions. So, you know.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, we look at weddings. I mean, Max just brought up the iconic Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man wedding, which they were really, I mean, they were truly in love. But then you think about Triple H and his wedding to Stephanie McMahon. Did that get a Slammy? I mean, how about the time that Stephanie went to marry Test and Triple H interrupted? Did that win an award? I just don't feel like those are very noteworthy to give an award to. I'm not saying that the gimmick was the standing factor of why it wasn't given an award or given at least a nomination, but I just don't. I don't know, unless it's something like really, really. And I know that Matt Cardona and PCO, they were working with, you know, they were working in that storyline that they were going to go to have that match. I forget what PLE that was at, but they did have a really, really good match. But I don't know. I don't feel like that even deserved an award. And Mir is right. So what, Steph? So what? It wasn't, you weren't given an option for a nomination. What, you know, to me, I feel like the Slammies or the end of the year awards need to be like the OMG moments. And Steph DeLander marrying PCO on in the ring is not an OMG moment for me.
Yeah. I gotta agree. Look, I love Steph DeLander, and I hope she can come back from whatever's going on with her. I believe it was his neck surgery or whatever it was. So yeah, and I think she will be a prominent force in the Knockouts division. But that's the thing. I want to go back to those exact words. That was the part of the storyline that was missing. She was just part of the story. She wasn't a prominent figure. She didn't do anything like out of this world that stood out. I mean, yeah, the wedding stories are fun, you know. My favorite, still going back to this day, that I joke about, and it's not even the wedding itself, it's what happened at the wedding between Brian Cage and his wife, going back a handful of years in TNA. And that's when Eddie Edwards was drunk and his wife was like, you know, screaming into the camera, "What are you doing?" It was so obnoxious. It was just, you know. But anyways, so yeah, it's Steph DeLander. If she had a bigger part in all this and there was just more to the story, then by all means, you know, it'd be more people talking about it, more headlines. But it was one of those things that sadly just kind of happened because of her injury.
Yeah.
She couldn't get physical. Nothing could happen to her. It was all laid on PCO and Matt Cardona, which is fine. They can have a match. But if Steph DeLander's just off to the side, like, "Hi, I'm over here. I'm still getting married. Are they still talking about?" damn it, they're not even talking about me. So it is. I can see why she's frustrated or whatever. But that's what happened, in my professional podcasting opinion.
I have to agree. I think that it's just, for me, Bill, it was just a filler. It was like, what can we do for the rest of this show or an upcoming episode that we really don't have many matches? Oh, I know. Let's put in a wedding. Let's pair up Steph DeLander and PCO, who I don't even think are really even married, are they?
No. I think that was part of it. I think Steph is having more of a laugh at this, but also giving herself a little bit of a victory lap, even though she's not nominated for an award. And I'll give her credit for this. Because this was and TNA, I don't know, maybe over the last decade, may have more wrestling weddings than any other promotion, because they have weddings, it feels like every other year almost. So they kind of go to the well a lot. But for this one, obviously with this is the most unconventional wedding since me. There's been some unconventional weddings, but this was intentionally unconventional. Steph DeLander with PCO, who never even spoke for the most part, of his run until this storyline. So her just kind of embracing this when she's probably beyond half his age. And then just no way they'd ever be there. But in the end, as Critical Sting says, it was kind of tame. People weren't getting crushed with champagne bottles on the head.
Right.
But it was different. It was a different way of telling a wrestling wedding storyline. And obviously a lot of it played a part as they went into Montreal, PCO, home territory. So a lot of it played in there. Yeah. So that audience might put it as a moment of the year. But if you looked at the other moments of the year, I think she was, especially that she shouted out the system because they won all the gold, and that's kind of, they had their moment there. But she's just trying to rip the system. Screw the system. They shouldn't be in this. But obviously, I'm a system defender, so I like that. But obviously, you have the return of TNA. I don't see how that doesn't win as moment of the year. But then you have Joe Hendry going viral. But he did that kind of on its own, almost without TNA. So but a lot of tough moments. So a lot of them but good for her, because obviously she's been on the sideline, and she's going to be on the sideline for still the foreseeable future. And she was doing a lot of work there in TNA. So I'll give her this. I'll give her this little victory lap here. But I think she knew she had no chance of winning. So she just wants an honorable mention.
I still say the best part was PCO getting all excited, going.
Well, that was good. I thought you might say Rhino's tie.
Yeah.
Oh God!
All he did was wear Rhino gear with a tie.
With a tie. Yeah.
Very classy.
Very Rhino. It's very
He's a classy
Rhino.
war machine.
It's a very gore-esque thing to do. Yeah, exactly. I think that if we're talking about
Sting,
in past weddings, a groom was shot, a bride was shot with a champagne bottle, another bride watched her groom marry somebody else and go psycho, etc. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, what about the time that Stephanie McMahon was marrying Test? I believe it was with Test, and she was kidnapped and was roofied and taken to Vegas and married Triple H in a drive-through thing,
But if you watch the rest of that video, she wasn't roofied. She was just pretending to be.
Yeah.
But I did want to make a point, though, because I agree with the so what. How many years have we been doing this, Dizzy? I mean, all the way back to rambling about wrestling, all the way up till now. We've been doing this a while, right?
Yeah.
Why do we keep getting snubbed by the Emmys? I mean, we fall in the talk show category, right? We get snubbed every year. You got snubbed 1 year, Steph. Get over it.
There's got to be some sort of podcast awards that we could definitely submit our show to. You know, we can win a. Damn it! It's time for the Ramblers to win an award, and I'm not talking about a Rambly. Okay.
We're gonna win some potties. That's what we're gonna win.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Well, we remember when we did our own award show, the Ramblies.
Yes.
We gave awards
man.
out. We gave awards out to people. I mean,
And we've
better
roasted
than
some.
J-Bone. Will want to give his own awards out, but the boners couldn't go that way.
well, yeah. We'll give J Bone a Rambly for being our producer and for the most colorful guy that we know on this show.
Especially when he's on the day quill.
Because if I come up with a show called "Welcome to the Boners," it'd be a whole lot of guys talking into some kind of phallus going, "Oh, thank you so much." It wouldn't
I
go.
mean, have you looked at Dizzy's microphone? Have you looked at your microphone? Look at the shape.
That's why mine's off camera, because it is so.
And I can even do like the voiceover for you, like in a world full of softies, there's only one boner. Yeah. You hide your face there, Max.
Oh my God.
Well,
We are the ED Classic podcast.
ED, yeah. We're the
Waiting for that Blue Chew sponsorship.
Oh yes, yeah. TNI has Manscaped. The Ramblers are gonna get Blue Chew.
If you think our show is hard to watch, how about you try Blue Chew? That's sure to do the trick. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
We're all going to hell.
Oh, well, that is the show for this Tuesday evening. And we're going to do it again next week around the same time, around 9:30-ish or so. But Bill, man, thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. Golfers clap for Bill. Big old golfers clap, man. And you are welcome on the show anytime, brother. We love having you, man.
Much appreciated. And congrats on the new night. I think I hope you guys thrive there on Tuesdays and Tuesdays, as we like to say. So definitely keep on rambling.
Absolutely. We will do just that. Well, Bill, how can they follow you on social media, sir?
For the most part, I'm still on I'll only call Twitter, and that's at my name, William M. Gardner, Gardner. Occasionally, I might pop up more places, but still the best place to find me is here on Total Nonstop Impact with the Bone Man on usually Thursdays. But this week's a little different due to schedule conflicts. We'll be reviewing the Thursday show on Saturday. So we'll see you next on Saturday. And if you didn't see it earlier, when you got time, feel free to go back and watch our review of Turning Point for a full in-depth match-by-match analysis of the latest PLE from TNA.
Yeah, and we're all under the same umbrella, so please go over to Total Nonstop Impact and like their videos, subscribe to their channel. These, J-Bone and Bill do a fantastic job with that channel. You guys have been just exceeding expectations with that channel, so bravo to you guys and all your success. And we're happy to be a part of. Yeah, man, we're happy to be a part of that. We finally found a home. We feel like we finally found a home where we can, put Ramblers Unleashed in the same umbrella or the same category as TNI. So we're really excited for the partnership, man.
Hell yeah, man.
They're great to have you. The more the merrier.
Absolutely.
As long as I've been doing this, man, it just, I'm so proud of what I've done with TNI, but it all goes back to what I did with the Ramblers 10-ish plus years ago, and that was when I was starting out, and they were like, "Hey, join us, let's have some fun." And I was on and off, but man, we still all stayed friends, and and it was just the timing was right. We brought it back, and we're rambling again, man. I love it.
I still don't know how you scored Krista Joseph as an interview on Ramblin' About Wrestling. That was impressive, J-Bone. That was so impressive.
I don't brag about many things that I've done in podcasting, but one of them is one of my few interviews that I've scored is Karrion Kross, which is one of the most terrifying things. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
He was a killer back then.
Because number one, he was in his home and it was daylight when it started. By the end, the sun was about 3/4 of the way sunsetted, and it was very dark where he was at. So just like throughout the interview, it just gets darker and darker and darker and darker. And by the end, you're like, holy crap, that's terrifying. And I'm like, oh, it's time to go. We almost can't see him anymore. So, but Krista Joseph, when I was one of the few consistent people that started reviewing Lucha Underground. And he started watching my reviews, and he actually messaged me, and I was like, whoa. Yeah, so that right there just blew me out of the water. And then I paused for a while because of something, and he even messaged me. He's like, hey man, where's your reviews? What happened? Blah 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 blah. And yeah, we just kept talking here and there, and I was like, damn, let's get this guy on.
Yeah, no kidding. That was impressive. I mean, we've had JTG on the show from Crime Time. He wrote a book, and we talked to him about that. And we had Kat Von Hees on the show. We had a lot of the guys from Alton Invades Wrestling or American Invades Wrestling. So we've had a pretty good turnout. Of course, we'd love to have more guests on the show, maybe some more wrestlers. So if you have any TNA folks that want to come on to our show, we'd love to host that. That would be fantastic.
We'll have to talk to the old doctor and see what's brewing.
Absolutely. J-Bone, you, sir, how can they follow you on social media?
Well, kind of like Bill, no one likes talking about being on their ex. So yeah, let's keep it to Twitter. I'm on Twitter at jbone5150. You can also, like Bill said, you can find me over on that other little podcast called Total Nonstop Impact on Thursday nights, where we're talking all the TNA news and reviews.
Yeah, and another guy who is on another podcast that talks about all the nerdy stuff, the Marvel comics, and you guys actually have a really decent show, Max. As far as the content that you put forth. So how can they follow you, sir?
First I just want to say it's easy to put out a good show with good content if you can have fun while you're doing it, which is why we do such a good job with our show, is because we have so much fun. Even when I get us off on tangents, we're having a blast.
Right.
Now, before I give you my information, my boy's not here tonight. We miss him. Have fun up there on Cloud 9. You can find him at Scumbag Jordan with 3 N's over on Twitter. I was told that we would ask me who I thought was a terrible ring announcer before we went off air.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
Give your socials out real quick.
All right. You can find me at Max Magus. You can also find my other podcast at Our Shots Podcast. It's more of a nerdy thing. And gentlemen, I have a confession to make. When you said that we should get the decibel level put up for when Dirty Dom's out there trying to talk and the fans are booing, I tweeted that to Triple H and tagged all 3 of you.
I need to go like that. Well, while I go do that, Max, you've been in the business for a long time in the indie circuit and things like that. What is your pet peeve about ring announcers, and who has been your favorite one so far?
Listen, Lillian Garcia will always be my favorite ring announcer. I agree with Bill about that pregnant pause and getting the one fall. I think that's just make your announcement. But as far as worst ring announcers ever, there's this one guy that announced for Wrestling Invades Alton at one point. I heard he was terrible, even though I didn't get to see the video of it. No, the worst announcer I ever saw. You get those celebrities in there that are great when you get them on pre-recorded stuff, but you put a live microphone in their hand, they're terrible. Those guys are bad. But the worst one I ever saw was the one that did not know how to pronounce Jinder Mahal's name, could not pronounce Heath Slater. I mean, she messed up the whole 3-man band, and that was Eva Marie.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the ring announcer that he is talking about with Wrestling Invades Alton is, they invited Bubba to, who used to be on our show, Bill. Matter of fact, he's a founding member of this show. They invited him to come up and do the ring announcing, and it wasn't botched, I don't think, but he didn't get the crowd moving, man. Like he didn't get the crowd moving.
It's not the easiest thing to do. It's not the easiest thing to do.
No, man, it
does take a skill, but you don't need to be over the top. But it is a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
man, I was so good at getting that crowd going. I didn't have to say anything. I would get in that ring with a microphone in hand, and they would demand I shut up before I said a word.
Did you ever ring announce?
A couple times, but I did it more as a guest thing because I was already the heel at that point.
Yeah.
But I never did any real ring announcing, though.
But you never did go over the top, right?
Yeah, well, I was the heel. I had to go over the top. I had to piss everybody off.
Well, I mean, yeah, with you being the heel, but yeah, okay, that was a bad example.
Look, like I said over in the comments, the first contact to get that crowd hyped is that ring announcer. If your ring announcer does not bring the energy and get that crowd pulled in from the start, you risk not having the energy from the crowd for the match. And we talked about the energy level the crowd brings. When they were in the Thunderdome with no crowd, how dead did those wrestlers come across? It was terrible. You got to have the energy from that crowd.
That's a tough time.
That is a really tough time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there was several times I was just, stuck on the screen in the background. Just be like,
I was wondering who that was. That was you.
I think that was most of the people in that crowd.
Well, that's the show for the evening. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you can find us at Ramblers Unleashed. You can find us on X or Twitter or whatever you're calling it. Ramblers Unleashed, absolutely up top there above J-Bone. And find us on Facebook too. You can also follow us and like us on Twitch. And we're all over the place, man. We're just trying to get to more places and more screens and everything like that. So we thank you for listening to us tonight, for participating in the comments. And we will definitely do it again next week, Tuesday nights now at 9:30-ish. Because, there could be some times where not necessarily 9:30 on the dot. So 9:30.
We're to keep it simple. We'll just say following NXT. There you go.
Following NXT, we will go live every single Tuesday night with the latest TNA, WWE, and AEW news. So in the meantime,
and that's 8:30 in the only time zone that matters.
Yeah,
mine.
Yeah, exactly. And Bill, thanks again for joining us tonight. And
thank you, Dick, for hosting, and for Jay and Max. Great time, and I'm sure I'll join you again in the future at some point.
You're welcome at any time, my friend. Anytime.
I look forward to it.
We all look forward to it, man. And
I have to. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're stuck with me, J-Bone.
I got to deal with this uncultured swine over here all the time. Please come back and join us.
Mainly meaning me.
I would never say something mean like that.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Max would never say anything like that at all.
Never.
Ever. All right. Well, in the meantime, please come back again on next Tuesday. We'll do it all over again. And whatever you do, no matter what it is, enjoy professional wrestling for what it is. If you love the professionals, if you love the indie, if you love whatever you love, man, just watch professional wrestling, love professional wrestling, and we will talk professional wrestling next week on Ramblers Unleashed. See ya.
Tuning in to Ramblers Unleashed. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell icon for notifications of upcoming episodes.